My name is Mallory Spoonts. I am a head coach at Rock Steady Boxing Dallas. Rock Steady Boxing is a boxing program for people with Parkinson's, and we also help those with Parkinson's plus syndromes, one of those being Lewy body dementia. Nardo here has been gracious enough to let us kind of talk to him about Lewy body dementia. So this is Nardo, one of our wonderful boxers. So Nardo, tell me a little bit, what sets Lewy body apart from Parkinson's?
Right. Right. So, my neurologist once drew me a picture like an umbrella, right, with the spokes coming down, and Parkinson's was on the top. It says Parkinsonisms, right? Lewy bodies is one, Parkinson's is one, Alzheimer's is one, cerebral palsy. I forget them all, but they're all cousins, right? So they share a lot of things, but they are dissimilar in a lot of ways, especially in the stages. And I think if I tell you how they arrived at my diagnosis, it may explain how the stages happen.
Yeah,
Okay? And if I'm not clear, stop me,
of course.
because I could get a little muddled. I get a lot muddled. So about 8 years ago, me and my wife were both working at the time, and we left work to hop the late flight out of Love Field into Louis Armstrong. We were drinking on the flight. When we got to New Orleans, we were still drinking. We continued that endeavor. We got something to eat. We drank some. We ate some more. We drank some. Anyway, got back to the bed about 3 in the morning, and I woke up at 5, like I always do. I was making coffee, and my head went stupid. I didn't understand what was happening around me. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know. Anything. And it was so, you ever done that?
Sure.
And then my heart rate's up and my blood pressure's up and all that. And my wife's like, "Oh my God, what's happening?" I have no idea. We thought maybe I was having a heart attack. We didn't know. So I chewed a couple aspirin. It went away, like 10 minutes. It went away. We sat there for a little while, and I was like, I'm fine. Let's go get some breakfast. But it was so disturbing that when I got back to Dallas, I went to the doctor right away. Told him everything I just told you. He looked at everything, checked everything, poked on everything, and said, "Dude, I can't find anything. We're just going to put it down to you. You've been up a long time. You've been strenuous. You've been eating a lot of different food. You've been drinking a lot. If it happens again, give me a call." Okay. So I forgot that. About 2 years later, right, this time progression, I was driving home from work. We lived in Old East Dallas at the time, and I worked up here. And I was 35. Let me mention both times it was really hot. That's important. I was driving south on 35 in the far left lane at 5:30. And kind of woke up and realized what's going on. I'm looking around. I don't understand what's happening. I'm looking for clues. I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm in my car. I'm driving. I'm on the freeway. I'm doing 55. Oh, no." And I have this, whether it's an advantage or a disadvantage, I don't know, but I can I'm very practical. I can sort of maintain steady as you go, which works against me sometimes. But autopilot took over, so I put my blinker, I got over, blinker, got a blinker. Anyway, I pulled up in this little vacant lot, bunch of tree branches, fast food bag. I called my buddy because I knew he was home, and I'm like, "Dude, something's bad wrong. But I don't want to sit here. I'm going to get home. I'm going to talk to you, and I'm going to tell you, I'm turning here, I'm turning there, I'm turning here, until I get home." He's like, "Okay." And he kept up. He was like, "What's wrong?" I said, "I don't understand what you're saying. I don't know. I don't know what's happening." He's like, "Just keep talking to me." It lasted until I got almost to the house. This is probably 35 minutes. And then I snapped out of it. Like it was completely gone with no remnants of anything. Once again, next day, go to the doctor. Different doctor. She looks me all up and down, and she says, I can't find anything, but you know what? You got a really bad ear infection. Oh, I didn't know. She said, maybe with the moving your head and looking at the mirrors and the traffic, and it could disorient you and make you a little dizzy, and that might throw your head off or something. I said, okay, it makes sense to me, you know. She gave me antibiotics. Forgot all that. About 6 months later, they're coming really quickly. Once again, hot as can be. Once again, driving, and that threw us on a bonkers chase later, trying to figure out what was causing all this. I'm going south. It's a family ranch in hill country. I don't remember if I was on 45 or 357, but I was going south, and I was kicking it. I was probably doing 75 or 80, and I was in a sort of a delirium. And then I realized I'm not. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't understand what I'm doing. And I'm looking around for clues, same thing, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm in my truck. I'm driving. There's people. I gotta get off the road. Got off the road. I get out. I'm screaming at myself. I'm sure I was amusing to everybody. Pacing around the truck because I thought I got road hypnotized. Right? I don't know if you've ever done that. Right? You stare at the road and you just sort of you get almost hypnotized. And I thought, you know, I call myself an idiot. What's wrong with you? You're responsible. You can't be doing this. It's crazy. And after 45 minutes or something, it went away. I went away. I didn't go to the doctor because I thought that's what happened. About 2 weeks later, I was at work. It was early in the morning. And by now, I'm sort of leaving out. I was getting a little. This is difficult to explain. I have visual distortions, many different types of visual distortions, and one of them is that I will perceive the room to shift. It's sort of like I've been able to make people understand when you're watching a movie and the director wants you to realize something bad's coming up and they go sort of with the camera, right? Sort of off kilter. That happens. And the lights change frequencies. And by frequencies, I mean like sound and light travel through sine waves, right? Certain amplitude, certain frequency, and depending the rods and the cones or the eardrum that hit it, it vibrates, sends a signal to the brain interprets it and says, I see this, right? So the words see and hear get tricky because there's actually nothing out here to make it look good, right? But I see that the lights change color to be like mood lighting, like they either turn yellow glow or soft white or bright white, like in the kitchen or whatever, and the room shifts. And all this time I was doing that, and I was like, it's okay, I can straighten this out. It's just what's wrong with my head. You get past it, right? This happened at work, and I knew it was going to be bad. I knew because I was like, oh God, this is going to be bad. And I remember looking over at my buddy and thinking, he is so far away. And I know where he was. He was about 15 feet away. But he was little, like he was way on the horizon. And I do that. I think things that are way back seem large, like they're up close, and things that are up close get little, like they're way back. I do that a lot. And I thought, I can't get to him. I gotta go home. I don't want anybody at work to see me like this. Right. Took out my phone. I was gonna text my boss and say, I'm not doing well. I'll take off. And I didn't understand my phone. I couldn't. I didn't know. I didn't know what my phone was. I knew it was a phone. I could tell it's a phone, but I don't know what to do with it. Anyway, I ended up going to HR, hoping they would tell him. And this is when I first realized. I go there and I say, they say, good morning. And I'm like, hi. And I say, how are you? And I say, I'm not well. She's like, oh, you didn't sleep well? And I said, no, I'm not well. She said, oh, is somebody bothering you at work? I said, no, you understand, I'm not well. She's like, what do you mean you're not well? And I said, something's wrong. And that's the first time I saw, but I've seen many, many times that people can't see. They can't see what's going on in here. They think everything's fine. My wife can see. Sometimes she'll take one look at me and go, "You're not doing good." And I'm like, "No, I'm not." You know. And sometimes she's a little overzealous. Sometimes I'm just distracted. She's like, "You're not doing good." I'm like, "Fine. I'm just thinking about groceries or whatever." But nobody else can see. And so we're going to call Teladoc. They wanted to know my password. She says, "Go get your password." I said, "I have the password on my desk. I don't know how to find my desk from this spot. I don't even know how I got here. I certainly don't know how to get back." She gets my password. We talked to the Teladoc. He said, "Go to a doctor. They need to put their fingers on you right now." And then once again, this is when I realized, she goes, "Well, I'll give you the address and you can just drive over there." And I'm like, "You're not getting it. You don't." It's not her fault, you know, because I'm talking fine. I seem to be lucid, but nobody can see what's actually going on. So she drove me down there, and they did quite a lot of testing. And I was there quite a long time. And at some point, my work called my wife, or my wife called my phone, and I looked at my phone. And she said, "You left work?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Where are you?" And I said, "I don't know." She was like, "What?" I said, "I don't know." "What the what?" I don't know where I am. There was a lady at the Grubs. I was like, "Talk to her. She might." And she took the phone out of the room, which is never a good sign. But at the end of that visit, the guy said, "You need to see a neurologist." Right? So now we're cooking with peanut oil. And that day, I never went back to work because the doctor, it's difficult for them to isolate all these cousins and pick and choose which one's the culprit. They thought seizures for a long time because it was always hot and I tended to be driving. And they thought maybe that's something that set it up. Maybe it's lights. I can't tell you all the testing they did. Lights and buzzers and bells and whistles and poking and prodding. Wires on my head. X-rays, MRIs, EKGs, blah, 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 blah. And I kept saying, something's very, very wrong. And most of them said, "We believe you, we just can't find it." There was one who said, "There's nothing wrong with you." Actually, at the very end, there was one psychiatrist saying, "I'll get to that." So I didn't go back to work because for 7 weeks, I was hallucinating heavily, nonstop. And what got confusing and in the end got me sent to the psychiatrist was that I would say, because I thought hallucinations were things that were real, like zombies or dragons, or if you had worms coming out of your face or something. But what I was seeing was real, right? It's like I have a screen in my head, right? And my eyes are sort of back here, and they're looking at the screen, and the screen's going like a snapshot on high speed, like that's a nice Christmas tree. Why is there spaghetti? I hate spaghetti. I loved that dog. For 7 weeks, right? And I'm trying, and I still do that. Okay. When I get really tired and really stressed, and the difficulty is, I've since learned it's called memory overlap, right? The thing in your brain that's supposed to keep your memories in whatever part of that realm that knows it's the past, that gets porous or whatever, and they bleed over into the present. And what's so difficult is that they're both running at the same time for me, right? And the more stressed I get, the worse it gets, right? So it's similar to, once again, let's say you're in a big movie, and it's big, and it's technical, surround sound, and crazy action, and a pivotal moment, and you're little, and you're standing there at this big screen, and you're staring at it, and somebody says, "Did you remember to call your brother? We have to go there tomorrow night." You're like, "What? Are you going to park now? Because we've been, what? What?" You know, it's hard. It's really hard to, and because they're both real. This in here is not relative to this space at this time, but they're real things. In here, and I hesitate to say things like this because people start looking at me crazy. That big purple ball, we have one of those at my house too. And sometimes I'll see it roll across the floor. And I'll think, did somebody kick the ball? And then I have this little trick I play with myself. Well, it didn't roll. It's over there, but were you just seeing the one that's at your house, or were you just seeing this one? Which one did you see roll across the floor? You know, I got to amuse myself sometimes. It's hard. There's a place in my head. It's over here somewhere. It's messed up in there. It's bad in there. It's chaos, and I have to stay out of there. Right? I can. So I was telling you one time. I was saying I can. If I get close enough to describe it, I have to just skirt around the edges because if I fall in there, it's hard to come out. I just about have to go to sleep. And that is the difference between Lewy bodies and Parkinson's. Lewy bodies comes and goes. Let's say we've got this long period. I'm fine. No, you're not. Yes, I am. No, you're not. Yes, I am. Well, let's say that's a month. Fine. No, you're not. It could be an hour. It could be an hour. I can be great. No, you're not. Yes, I am. No, you're not. Lewy will jump in. He's an opportunist. That some bitch will take any slight provocation and try and run my brain. And I have to. I'm glad that I know it's him because for a long time when they couldn't find anything, and I gave it sober thought, and I decided I was going insane. There was no other explanation to me, right? I was seeing things other people didn't see. I was hearing things other people didn't hear. I didn't understand my thoughts. I didn't understand my feelings. I didn't understand all the markers that by which we define ourselves all got ripped away. And I think that happens with Parkinson's too, right? Like, you're a smart guy. Yeah, you can't find a bathroom. You're good with your hands. Yeah, just try and drink coffee without spilling. You know, you're really dependable. I can't make a salary. You know, all those things get taken from you. The difference with Parkinson's is that they show the physical decline first. And only in the advanced stages do they begin to show the mental decline and the hallucinations and the lack of cognitive fluency, for lack of a better term. With Lewy bodies, it's exactly the opposite. Physically, from the neck down, I'm fine. But you start showing the mental decline, and the hallucinations, and the delirium, and the delusions. And then you begin to go into the physical decline. And that's why I'm here at Rock Steady, because the end is not pretty. And if I can go into the end in better shape, you know, it's better for me. And I know why they're here. Similarly, they want to stay as strong. They already feel the physical decline. I'm in awe of those guys. You know, I look at them, some of them, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I can't even believe you're doing this. This is strenuous, and they're kicking me. I just think that's amazing. Meanwhile, I'm off on an LSD trip over there doing. You may notice that I pace a lot. When I'm really physically active, it's so demanding. There's no room for Lewy in my head. Okay? But it's a tightrope because I'm getting really tired and really exhausted. And that's when he likes to come in. Right? So I'm so happy with Liz, right? Because I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm concentrating on beating the tar out of her back. And I got 15 seconds, right? And if I stand still, I'm so tired, who's going to jump in that 15 seconds? So I pace around in circles during that time. and everybody thinks I'm really hyper, sort of, but not for the reason you think, right? Um, I just wanna try and explain, if I haven't, we all share, we're all stiff, terribly stiff. I mean, I don't know if any of us feels good physically any longer. I can't remember the last time I felt good. And like I said, the guys with Parkinson's, their physical decline comes first. I know they don't feel good. I just know they don't. I can see them trying to stand up. And it's like everything hurts. And, you know, the balance, the issues with our balance, the tremors. We all have the tremors. Um, and I believe I'm safe in saying that a few of them hallucinate. It seems to me that may be the case. That's not something people like to talk about, mostly because it scares other people. Uh, it's not frightening to me. Like my neurologist, when I finally went to see him, I finally asked for the DAT scan because I said I've got Parkinson's. We have been Googled, and of course the scan was abnormal. And I went to this neurologist and they recommended, told him a bunch of stuff. And he said, "You don't have Parkinson's, you have a cousin. It's called dementia with Lewy bodies, and it's terminal. And it's normally 2 to 7 years from the time of diagnosis. And it sounds to me like you've had it about 8 years already." So, and he started talking about something else. He said, "You know what I'm talking about?" I said, "No." He lost me way back there too. I have no idea what he just said. Right? But he said, "You know, I want to prescribe carbidopa, and this, I take a drug called Nuplazid. I take a lot of drugs." And I fought him on it. I was like, "I don't want to take pills. I used to didn't take any pills." Changed my stance on that. But because I said that they don't, the hallucinations, the things I see, they don't scare me. They're not frightening. Like I see little animals around sometimes. I see things, like I said, that have every reason to be there. They're just not. Like, why did I park my car there? It's not there. You know, my wife's cat's on the camera. I do stuff like that, and I do the freeze frame, and I do the visual distortions, and I also hear music. I hear really good music. I hear like classical, really soaring melodies. But when I started trying to explain how things were real that I saw, that of course they checked me for alcoholism, drug addiction, DTs and withdrawal, but liver enzymes and poisons and all that, right? And I went to a psychiatrist and she was clueless. At the end of 8 hours, she said, "There's been no mental decline. This is caused by agitation. I also have jittery legs, which is a big symptom. That's ADHD." And she cautioned me on my way out not to tell anybody I saw things. So there's people out there. You know, just because they got some initials behind their name doesn't necessarily mean they're qualified to be doing what they're doing. But when I left the doctor, my wife was there. She's like, "What are you going to do now?" And I said, "I want pancakes." She said, "Pancakes?" "Yeah, with butter and syrup all over them." And people laugh at that, right? Because it's funny, but that's my take on it. That's why I was telling you, don't. It's okay. You know, right? It's okay. I'm not afraid to die. I don't want to hurt. But it's been a good long ride for me. I'm not exactly ready for the ride to be over, but if the ride's over, get off the ride. But I just wanted to, and I probably talked too much, but I just wanted to explain maybe if I could, how it's different for Lewy bodies and Parkinson's. I don't know how to help anybody. If somebody wants to know, well, how can I tell if somebody has Lewy bodies? You can't, unless, I'm really good at keeping on doing what I do. You won't know unless it's really, really bad. I get really agitated, and then I do, and that's bad, and that's bad. That's frightening. I Before I got a diagnosis, we should have seen it coming, but everybody else says that, right? I was screaming at the top of my lungs in the house. I threw the kitchen table across the room, screaming. And I'm just going to say this. Get your adult ears on. What the fuck is wrong with me? What the fuck is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? And they were like, there's nothing wrong with you. Bullshit. Bullshit. There's something terribly wrong. And it's frustrating because it takes them so long to pinpoint it. It seems like they ought to be better. I have my own criticism with the system. If you guys have ever taken a test where you draw a clock and spell world backwards, it's a big thing in the psychiatric and the cognitive abilities. They say spell world backwards, and they make you draw a clock. My 10-year-old grandson can do that. And somehow they use it as some indicator of your mental acuity. I don't know. I feel like I'm just going on and on and on. Is there something?
Well, tell me a little bit. What is the people closest to you? What have they noticed?
Agitation, more than anything. And I think I was asking y'all before we started. I get stuck on a word, try not to get, because I got a lot going on in here. I'm trying to handle both. If I get stuck and then you say something too, then I have to deal with you too. And it gets triple, it gets worse. And I get agitated when it happens, and I cannot control it. And I know that sounds cheesy, but I can't. I've gotten better at knowing which situations are going to make it bad and staying away from those. Like if all the kids and grandkids are over, I'll go sit in the corner, take 2 carbonated lemon overs and sit in the corner, leave me alone, But once he hijacks the hippocampus, right? And once he gets in there, I have no control. And it's scary. I end up saying things that I think I was explaining to my wife. I was saying, "Are you fucking with me? Why do you keep fucking with me?" She wasn't, right? But I was like, that's what it feels like. Like one time, I got so mad, I stomped out of the house and went around the block 3 or 4 times, and I still wasn't done, and I had to go around some more because it was a difference of a 65-watt bulb and a 70-watt bulb. That is not normal. That is not normal, right? But at the time, I was like, I lost my mind. I'm not in control. And it scares her. I don't like that. I could see that she's scared of me. They all see that I lose my words a lot. I get stuck staring into space. I don't know why, but I do. Sometimes I actually see something. Sometimes I just freeze. And they all see that. My middle boy told me recently, He said, I love you, but I hate them. I said, so do I. So do I. Um, they, I don't know how how to be them. I don't know how they manage dealing with it. All I can do with is, I don't mean to say all I can do with is me, because that's not what I do. I still am an active part in the family and participate and actually make a whole lot of the decisions and keep things running very smoothly. Um, with my wife as an active partner, but I can't, any more than you can see from my perspective. I cannot see from their perspective. I don't know. I know they have conversations, and I know my friends are, we get together, and when I get up and go to the bathroom, I know they're saying, "How is he really?" I know that happens, and that's okay. There's actually a couple friends who are just real, like my wife's one girlfriend, Terry. I was in the kitchen, she was talking, and I was standing there holding something, and she started talking. I was listening to her, and she finally said, "Are you going to drink that or wear it?" Which was funny, right? I was like, finally, somebody just get it out there, I had one young man come over to do some work for me, and he was like, "Why are your hands shaking all the time?" And I said, "I appreciate that." I mean, it's worse when people like hide, and I don't mean to be depressing, um, but I think, they see me get agitated, they see me get confused. Like, if there's a couple of things happening at once, I'm going, I can't, and I can't even tell you that I can't. I just can't.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm gone. I lost the signal. You just got the little twirly thing. I dropped the signal. Um, I don't know. Is there anything else?
I think that kind of fill it there. Thank you so much for sharing.
Sorry I took up so much of your time.
Oh gosh, no. That was a great learning experience for us. Great for those that will listen to it.
Good.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.